Hello children, let's come back to our maths class. I hope you are doing all your works properly and you are submitting your works properly. Just do it regularly. Do not postpone any of your work. Practice all the sums. Practice is a very important key to success. Okay, so the more you practice, the more you score. This is the main motto you have to just keep in your mind when you study your maths. The only thing is just don't look at the sum. When you see the sum looks easier. You may think that, oh, the sum is easy, I can just attempt the sum. Just do not judge the sum by looking at it. What you have to do is just you go through the sums. You have to take on the question, close your books, just go on trying the steps. When you go on trying the step, then you will be able to. So what happens when you try? You may stuck up, you may be not able to get the further step. So that shows that you are not clear. So always do not just go through the sum. You have to practice the sum. You have to write and see. You have to solve and see. Okay. So once you go on writing, once you go on solving, you get a clear idea of the sum. So practice, children. The only way to success is practice. Okay. So in the previous class, we started, yes, we have already started exercise 1.3, and the previous class we completed question number 6, that is 7. Till 7 we have completed, yes. So now we are going to continue from sum number 8. So let's start the exercise. Take down your classwork, write today's date. From exercise 1.3 we are just going to continue exercise 1.3. Write sum number 8. Find the range of the function 1 upon 2 cos x minus 1. Find the range of the function 1 upon 2 cos x minus 1. Write down the question neatly, children. Write the presentation is very, very important. Present your answers neatly. Okay, have you started? Have you taken down the question? So let's go with the step part. So it's the function. What is the function given here? 1 upon 2 cos x minus 1. So let's start the answer. It's a continuation of exercise 1.3, sum number 8. So let's define a function. Let fx is equal to 1 upon 2 cos x minus 1. So this is what is given to you. So now here, what's the function used here? The trigonometric function used here is cos x. So now we just don't know, we just can't solve the sum directly using this. So what we are just going to do here is, we are just going to take the trigonometry function. What is the trigonometry function used here? It's cos x. So remember that the range for the cos x lies between minus 1 and 1. So what is the range of cos x? The range of cos x is minus 1 and 1. That it lies between, the value is always between minus 1 and 1. So this is the important thing you have to remember. So remember the point carefully. So where is the range? Where is the cosine lying between? The function lies between minus 1 and 1. So let's write down. Range of cosine function, or you can write range of cos function, no problem. Cosine function is, see here, cos x. Okay, it's going to lie between minus 1 and, how to write? First you write cos x, it lies between minus 1 and 1. Okay, so now what we have to do is, we are going to change this part as this part. Getting my point? See here, we start with cos x, yes. But what we need here, we need 1 upon 2 cos x minus 1. So we have to bring here, in place of cos x, we have to bring 1 upon 2 cos x minus 1. So let's see how to do the changes. So we have taken the first step, that is, we have written the range of the cosine function. It's minus 1 less than or equal to cos x less than or equal to 1. Okay, children? This is a starting point. Now see here, what is with cos x? We have 2. So now when you change particular term, everything should be change. Just do not change particular part. We have to change all the parts. So just what we are doing here, we are just multiplying by 2. So when you multiply by 2, what do you get? Minus 2 less than equal to 2 cos x less than equal to 2. I hope the step is clear. I told you that in place of cos x, we need 1 upon 2 cos x minus 1. Yeah. So we have started with the range. That's cos x lies between minus 1 and 1. You're going to multiply by 2. So you get minus 2 less than equal to 2 cos x less than equal to 2. Okay, children, so we have got this part. This part is ready. So we got 2 cos x. Now what we need here? We need minus 1. So you have to subtract 1 from all the 3. So I get here minus 2 minus 1. I'm not doing any changes. Whatever, the sign will be as it is, okay? Just because we need this part. 2 cos x minus 1. So 2 cos x minus 1 less than equal to 2 minus 1. Are you getting this step, children? So whatever change you do, it should be done to every part. Just do not change only the particular part, okay? See here, it was minus 1 and cos. So we multiplied by 2, 2, 2. Similarly, now what I need here? Minus 1. So I'm just going to subtract 1 from all the 3. So minus 2 minus 1 less than or equal to 2 cos x minus 1 less than or equal to 2 minus 1. Okay, children, so now let's solve. So what do you get here? Minus 3 less than equal to 2 cos x minus 1 less than equal to 1. Yes. So we have simplified, yeah. So minus 2 minus, that's minus minus plus. This is a very, very important part in your, some integer plays a very important role. You have to be thorough with the integers. So minus minus gives you plus. So 2 plus 1 is 3 and sign of the bigger number is minus. So minus 3 less than or equal to 2 cos x minus 1 less than or equal to 1. Okay, just see here, children, the question part is 1 upon 2 cos x minus 1. But I have 2 cos x minus 1. So what we need here? We need the reciprocal of this. That is, now 2 cos x minus 1 is in the numerator part. But we need 2 cos x minus 1 in the denominator part. So we have to take the reciprocal. So taking reciprocal, what do you get? So when you take reciprocal, the important thing to remember, when you perform multiplication, when you performed subtraction, the sign did not change. It was less than equal to, less than equal to. But once you take reciprocal, you have to change the sign. Remember, once we are taking the reciprocal, you have to change the sign. So what happens here? Minus 1 upon 3 greater than or equal to 1 upon 2 cos x minus 1 greater than or equal to 1. See, the first step, there is no change. This was the original range. Then here we did not change the sign. In the second part also we did not change the sign. But once we are taking the reciprocal, you have to change the sign. So less than or equal to turns to greater than or equal to. So minus 1 upon 3 greater than or equal to 1 upon 2 cos x minus 1 greater than or equal to 1. So now here we have to find out the range. So where, actually what we have taken is, we have just found where is this cos x line between. So we have to find out the actual range. So we have to find the correct answer. We have just noted that it is going to lie between. So suppose we have some number. So just a guessing. What is the guessing? The answer is going to be somewhere between minus 1 and 1. So we have to find the correct range. So let's proceed for it. So what do you get here? So now we are going to replace 1 upon 2 cos x minus 1. So what do you get here? Minus 1 upon 3 greater than or equal to, what is this? This part is fx part. Okay, so we have assumed 1 upon 2 cos x minus 1 as fx, yes? So this is greater than or equal to fx greater than or equal to 1. So now I am going to split this, okay? I am just going to break this and I am going to write. So here fx is less than or equal to, or I'll just keep the same way so that you people don't get confused. Minus 1 by 3 is greater than or equal to fx, and fx is greater than or equal to Okay, so we have got two conditions. So I have just splitted the condition. So fx is less than or equal to minus 1 by 3, and also fx is greater than or equal to 1. So just stay down till here, then you have to draw a number line. I'll just tell you what to do in the number line. Just complete the step till here, children. Okay, I have taken the points. So we have split it. I have just taken the same thing, just I have repeated fx, okay. So minus 1 by 3 greater than or equal to fx, and fx is greater than or equal to 1. So now we are going to just represent on the number line. So let's see how to draw the number line and how to place the value. So what are the values here? It's minus 1 by 3 is included, and 1 is also included. Yes, greater than or equal to 1. See here. So where your fx is going to lie, see carefully. I have here 0, suppose. Here we have 1. And minus 1 by 3 is going to lie somewhere here. Yeah, it lies somewhere here. And the condition, see the condition here. I'm just going to talk about this condition so that you will get a clear idea. I'll start with the positive value. Fx is greater than or equal to 1. Greater than or equal to 1. That means 1 is also included. Are you getting the step, children? Greater than or equal to. That means the range will include the value 1. So it's from here. So from here it starts and it will go from here. We have greater than or equal to 1. So we may have some values from there. Okay. So from 1 it takes the value. And similarly from here it takes the value. It may go to infinity. And here we have minus infinity. Yes. Next. It's less than or equal to. Less than equal to means it will be lying on the left side. So from here it will come the value will be taken from here. So this part. From minus 1 by 3 to minus infinity. And when you consider this part, fx greater than or equal to 1, you have to take from 1 to infinity. And here it's from minus 1 by 3 to minus infinity. Okay, children? So you have to take the number line, draw the number line, show the arrows. Therefore, range is equal to, see now how I am writing the range, see here children. So it's from here to here, yes. So minus infinity to minus 1 by 3, union means and 1 comma infinity. And always we have to use a open interval for infinity. Okay, this is open interval. When you have, this is called a open interval and this is called a closed interval. Closed interval means the numbers are included. Open interval means the numbers are excluded. The last number. I am not talking all the numbers are excluded. If suppose I have an example 1, 3. Okay, 1, 3 is closed. That means the numbers are 1, 2, 3. The 1 is also included. 3 is also included. But if you have 1, 5, in such a case what happens? The number 1 and the 5 are excluded. You cannot take the number 1 and 5. It's an open bracket. It's an open interval. So you have an open interval, you have a closed interval. So open interval, listen to the statement carefully children. Open interval, the numbers, if the last numbers are excluded, okay, that means the 1 and 5 is excluded here. We don't take this number. So you have 2, 3 and 4 here. But in this case, you have to take 1, 2 is there and 3 is also there, okay. So in the closed, the members are included, and just remember open interval the last are excluded, and for the closed interval the last, the starting or the end numbers are included. So how to write the range? So it's minus infinity. I just don't know whether it goes to minus infinity. So till minus infinity. So the numbers can be between minus infinity to minus 1 by 3. And same here the numbers may be from 1 to infinity. So here minus 1 by 3 is included, it's assured, because it's less than or equal to minus 1 there. Minus 1 by 3 is greater than or equal to f of x. So minus 1 by 3 is included. Minus 1 by 3 is included. So which bracket you are going to use? Closed bracket. Okay, so I have used a closed bracket here. But this side I am not sure with this side what value is there, I don't know. But it may be till infinity. So I am just using here open interval. Then we have to take this value also. So I am using a sign here union. Union means it's a combination. Combination of, again here 1 is included, greater than or equal to 1. So 1 is included, it goes till infinity. So I don't know a proper value, so I just put here open interval. So what is the range? Minus infinity, minus 1 by 3, union 1 comma infinity. Hope the sum is clear. It's a very important type of question. So what is the range of cosine function? It lies between minus 1 and 1. Okay children? And now you have to, in place of cos x, you have to make it as 1 upon 2 cos x minus 1. So first what we have done, we have multiplied by 2, then we have subtracted by 1, then we have taken the reciprocal. So in the two previous cases, we did not change the sign, yes? But once you take the reciprocal, you have to change the sign. So minus 3 turns to be minus 1 by 3, greater than or equal to 1 upon 2 cos x minus 1, greater than or equal to 1. So f of x, you have to just split it. So this is one part and this one part. Split the parts, and we have drawn a number line to explain our the range part, and I have this writing here. Minus 1 by 3 is included, so use a closed interval. 1 is included, closed interval. Another minus infinity and infinity, you have to use a open interval. Okay. Now take the next question. Take question number 9. Take down sum number 9. Show that the relation xy is equal to minus 2 is a function for a suitable domain. Find the domain and the range of the function. Show that the relation xy is equal to minus 2 is a function for a suitable domain. Find the domain and the range of the function. So we have to do three things over here. So three more things. So first of all, they have said they have asked you to show that the relation is function. And the second thing is find the domain. And the third thing is to find the range. So let's start our answer. We are just going very slowly, children. So just understand each and every step. Practice regularly. The day itself you complete all your work, all the solved examples, all the classworks, all the homeworks, everything to be done. Just read your books, study all the definitions, try to take a notes of all the important points from your textbook, underline all the points. Just do not waste your time. Okay. So let's start sum number 9. Okay, what is the given relation, children? So the given relation is, we have been given with the relation. The given relation is xy is equal to minus 2. Okay. So now what we are going to do here? We are going to change this relation in terms of x. So I'll write x is equal to, the y goes to this side. A multiplication operation is going to it is from LHS, it's going to RHS. So when multiplication goes to the next side, that is from LHS when it goes to RHS, the multiplication turns out to be division. Multiplication will change to division. So you get x is equal to minus 2 upon y. So we have got the value for x. It's minus 2 upon y. So now just we have found the value of x from the given relation. Now what is the next work is we have to check, they have already said that show that it is a function. So it is going to be a function. So just we are going to check whether, so we are just going to follow the step and we are going to show that the relation is a function. So let's start. So what we are going to do here is we are going to use one formula that we have studied in our class 10. So if you have your 10th maths book, I hope all would have, you have your maths text, all the books with you, yes? So do not throw your books away. You have to keep all your books safely, because sometimes we may refer our previous class books. Okay, so some continuation or some idea or some concept will be there in our previous class. So just keep all your books safely. Here, in the previous class, we have been studied that if we have f of a1 is equal to f of a2, if a function is like this, okay, f of a1 is equal to f of a2, and when you take f of a1 and when you take f of a2, and if this implies a1 is equal to a2, then the function is 1, 1. This is a definition given there, okay, so we have a definition in our book. So if you just go through your previous class books, just go for the first chapter. In the first chapter, under the functions, okay, under types of function, we have these points. F of a1 is equal to f of a2. If it implies a1 is equal to a2, then we say that it is a 1, 1 function. So we are going to follow this condition only, okay, f of a1 is equal to f of a2. So here what we are doing here, instead of using a1, I am going to use x1 and x2, because we have used here variable x. So I will be taking x1 and x2. So what I am going to start as, I am going to start as here, f of a1 is equal, I told you we have to start f of a1 is equal to f of a2. So here you are going to start as f of x1 is equal to f of x2. So what do you get here? So this implies, what is f of x1? So wherever you have x is minus 2 by y is, so f of x1 will be minus 2 upon y1 is equal to minus 2 upon y2. Just change the function that in terms of x1 and y1 you have to write it. So you get it as minus 2 upon y1 is equal to minus 2 upon y2. Okay. So here minus goes off, 2 gets cancelled. So 1 upon y1 is equal to 1 upon y2. So this implies, see, we can take the reciprocal and you get y1 is equal to y2. So we started with f of, we have taken one function and we have proved that y1 is equal to y2. Therefore, f is a 1, 1 function. So do not get confused, okay, just you should not say x1 is equal to x2, x1 is equal to x2 the same, because here it was a condition, I am just using the condition here, okay, but here we have two variables, okay, so when I take the function x1, I should get y1 as y2. So if I get y1 as y2, I can say that f is a 1, 1 function. So what we started, we have one relation was given to us, so we have written the relation in terms of x, then we used one condition, we have taken f of x1 is equal to f of x2. So I get minus 2 upon y1 is equal to minus 2 upon y2. Minus 2 goes off. So what is left? 1 upon y1 is equal to 1 upon y2. So once you take the reciprocal, you get y1 is equal to y2. So f is a 1, 1 function. So we have shown. So we have shown the relation is a function for a suitable domain. So for a domain, for particularly in one area, particular domain is what way is it's going to lie, yes, the area, it's lying area. We say therefore, the relation xy is equal to minus 2 is the function for a suitable domain. So the next thing is we have to find out the domain and the range. So we have to find the domain plus the range. Okay. So just see here, we are having minus 2 upon y, yes. So if you have, the only thing, that is, if here only one thing is excluded, that is 0 is excluded, I say. If you take the value for x as 0, what happens? We don't get any image for x. So the only number that is to be excluded will be 0. Right on the statement, x is equal to 0 in the domain has no image in the codomain. Has no image in the codomain. So just remember this, because what happens, only the x is not having image, because if you put x as 0, the whole function goes. Are you getting, remember, it is not defined, okay? When you put x as 0, the function itself is not defined. So the only thing to be removed, the only thing to be excluded is 0. Are you getting the point, children? When you put here 0, the whole thing goes off, yes, 0. So everything goes, only here -2. So it's not defined. So you don't get a proper defined relation or proper defined function. So the number which has no image is x is equal to 0. So now we have to write the domain and we have to write the range. So now for domain, you have to just take the possible x value, okay? So I just write down here, domain, you have to write the possible x value. So you have to write y is equal to, you just change this in terms of y. So what will be y? Y is equal to -2 upon x, just interchanging. So for which value the relation is not defined? The relation is not defined for only the number 0, because if you put here 0, what happens? The whole thing changes. We don't get a function. So you have to say, therefore, domain is equal to, we know that it is a function. So you say domain will be r minus 0. The only number excluded is 0. We have to remove 0. So the domain part is done. So we have proved the relation is a function, and also we have found the domain. Then our next thing is we have to find out the range. Now when you find the range, what you have to do, children? You have to write in terms of x. So how you write in terms of x? X is equal to -2, minus y. Again here, if I put here 0, what happens? The whole thing goes off. The function is not defined, yes? So domain is equal to, what do you have to write here? We are dealing with ranges. So range is equal to r. We can have the whole real numbers except 0. I can put here 1, I can put here 2, I can put here 3, I can put here 4, 5, 6, whatever number I want I can put. But only the number that is not allowed here is 0. So what is the range? R minus 0. And what is the domain? R minus 0. I hope the sum is clear to you. The sum may look little complicated. I don't think so it's complicated. It's easy sum only. Okay, so we started the relation. It was xy is equal to -2. We have written in terms of x, and we use the definitions that we have studied in our lower classes. I started with f of x1 is equal to f of x2, and we proved as y1 is equal to y2. So when we have such a condition, you call it as a 1-1 function. So we say the relation is a function. This was our first part. Now we have to find out the excluded value here. The excluded value is 0. Since it is in the form of fraction, if I put here 0, what happens? The function gets undefined, okay? So if the excluded value is 0. So if you have x as 0 in the domain, it has no image in the codomain. So when you write the domain, take the value for y. In terms of y you write, okay? So you get r minus 0, the excluded value. See, this is called excluded. So what do you mean by this? 0 is excluded. 0 is removed. I don't want only 0. 0 is not allowed in the real number, because if I have 0, function gets undefined. Similarly, when you go for range, write in terms of x. Again, the value that is to be excluded is 0. So you get range as r minus 0. Okay, children. So we get domain. We have found the domain, and also we have found the range. So we have completed our sum number 9. Take down the answer. We are going very slow. We are just going step by step. So understand step by step. So once you are clear with the steps, everything goes very easy. So learn, understand the steps. Okay, children, we have a homework for you. I'll give you one homework. You have to do sum number 10 as homework. Homework is sum number 10. I just tell you how to do sum number 10. You just come to page Yeah, page 32. Take out your page 32 and you have to use the hints. So just solve example 1.29 first. Okay, so first your homework is solve example 1. Okay, solved example 1. So you will be solving example 1.29. It is based on the functions. Already we have seen in the previous classes the different elementary functions. Yes, we have studied about the modulus value. So you have to just follow the definitions and you have to refer your solved example 1.29 and you have to complete sum number 10. That will be your homework. Okay, children. So now let's go to the next sum. That is sum number 11. Take on 11th question. Take down sum number 11. If f, g, h are real valued functions defined on R, then prove that f plus g o h. If we have studied all composition, yes, composition of functions in our 10th standard, FOG, GOH, GOA, that all we have studied. So this is a combination over here. And already we have studied composition of 3 numbers also, yes. So we have studied up f plus g and we have all proved it. Similarly here also the same thing. If f, g, h are real valued functions defined on R, then prove that f plus GOH is equal to FOH plus GOH. What can you say about FOG plus H? Justify your answer. So you again here we have two part. One part is to prove f plus GOH is equal to FOH plus GOH. And also what is the thing? What can you say about FOG plus H? Justify your answer. So you have to give, justify your answer means you have to give the answer. Why are you saying? Why are you saying it's true? Why are you saying it's false? So you have to explain. That's the meaning of justify. So when you say, when a particular statement is given and if the question is to justify the statement, so the answer may be a true statement or the answer may be a false. So you have to explain why it is true. And a true part mostly we say, okay, this is a proper statement, but if it's a false statement, you have to explain why it is a false statement. Justification is you have to justify, you have to give a proper explanation. Okay, let's start with sum number 11. Okay. Have you taken down the question, children? Let's start the answer part. F, G, H are real valued functions defined on R. So the 3 functions are real valued and it's been defined on R. So let's write the statement. Sum number 11, yes? F, G, H are functions defined on R. So it's defined on R. Okay. So what to prove here? To prove FOG plus H is equal to FOG plus FOH. Some use as F dot G, F dot H, but FOG, FOH is okay. We can just say in that manner. It's composition. Actually, it's composition of F and G, composition of F and H. So FOH plus FOG, F plus GOH. F plus G OH is equal to FOH plus GOH. And this was a question. F plus GOH is equal to FOH. Okay, let's start with the work. So we are going to take the, have you taken down this part, children? Have you taken down the question? Have you written the thing that was given? So we have written the given part. We have taken the proof part. F plus GOH is equal to FOH plus GOH. Okay, now let's start with our LHS part here. So consider LHS. So what is the LHS here? F plus G OH. You are going to consider the F plus G. Do you remember, children, we have studied in our previous class how we write FOG? We write this as F of Gx. Are you able to recollect what we have done in our previous class? Yeah, F of G of X. If it's G of F, how you'll write? G of F of X. G of F of X. Similarly, H of G, H of G of X. I hope this writing work is clear to. We have studied in 10, just in your previous class you have studied and you know how to write it. The next step, if you have FOG, we follow the next step. The next step will be F of G of X. Yes? The same way you are going to just continue this sum also. Okay? So now let's start the step. So this is, what do you get here? F plus G so this is F plus G H of X. Okay, so that is what we have done, the O part, the O composition part we are removing and we are just inserting here H of X. So now what happens here? Just cross multiplies. It goes here and it goes here. This is F of H of X plus G of H of X. Getting the step, children? We are considering the LHS. What is the LHS over here? F plus G OH. So F plus G HX. The OH is removed and instead of C. This is simple, don't get confused here. FOG means what we write? We remove this, yeah, and we write F of GX. Similarly, in this what we are doing, we are removing this O part and here instead of H, what you have to write here? H of X. And now you are just going to split this. So it becomes F of HX plus G of Hx. F of Hx plus G of Hx. So now we are just bringing it back to the original form. So what is the, suppose if F of G of X, Gx is given, what is the original form? And the composition form will be FOG, yeah? So similarly here, what will be the composition? FOH plus GOH. I hope, yeah, that's what we have to prove, yeah? So this is your RHS. Therefore, LHS is equal to RHS. Hence, proved. So we considered the LHS part and we have arrived to a condition which is equal to RHS. So we mentioned LHS is equal to RHS and hence proved. So just we have done the first part of the question, yes, children. So one more part is left. They also asked you, what can you say about FOG plus H? What can you say about FOG plus H? So we are just going to follow in the same manner as we proceeded for the first part. Okay, let's have a try. Let's see what we get when we solve the second part. Okay, let's start. Well, just rub this part, okay? So now you have to consider the second part. The second part says, what you say about FOGF. So consider FOG plus H. Here again the same manner. Just use your as usual method. If you have FOG, the F part, the first part remains as it is, and for the second part you have to add G of X, like Gx comes here, yeah? Similarly here, just think, this is the first part and the whole, that G plus H is your second part. So what it becomes? F, put a bracket because we are dealing with two variables, yeah? So have G plus H of X. Is it clear, children? So F of G plus H. So I am just implying this formula. So FOG is equal to F of Gx. The first part remains the same. G plus H. Yeah? This is the second part. So here the X will be attached. But the X will be not attached to a single number. It will be attached to both the things together. So you have to insert the brackets over here. placement of bracket is very, very important. You have to use a bracket over here. Okay, now what's the next thing we are going to do is, we are just going to open the bracket which is present inside. So f of gx plus hx. Is this step clear? So what do you get here? F of gx plus hx. So now again we are just going to open it. So what do you get here? It's f of g of x plus f of h of x. Okay, children? So now let's write the final statement. So what you get, just we have to go back to our definition. So what will be the definition? Sum number 11, yeah? Okay, just or they are asking you what is that. So you just say here, this is equal to FOG x plus FOHX. This is FOG plus FOH. So we have just verified our answer. They have just given justify your answer. Justify and your answer means, so when I open this, I get FOG plus FOH. I hope the sum is clear to you. Just we have a small recap again. This is the sum which we have already studied about. Already we have studied about composition of functions in our previous class. So we are just using the idea and we are simplifying here. Okay. So f, g, h are functions defined on R, and we have to prove f plus g o h is equal to FOH plus GOH. So now what we did here, we considered the LHS part. Okay, we started the LHS part. And here O, so first part is kept as it is, and once you remove the O, that is once you remove this part, the H will be attached with X. Then you have to split, this is common, F plus G is common to HX. So that is HX is common to F plus G. So give to both, F of HX plus G of HX. So F of HX is FOH, G of HX is GOH. And this was the RHS part that we need to prove. So you say this is equal to RHS, therefore LHS is equal to RHS, hence proved. Okay, now we have to, they are also given you one more thing. Okay, they have just asked what do you say about FOG plus H. So F of the G plus H, you have to put your X, use a bracket. So open the bracket part first, Gx plus Hx, then split it, F of Gx plus F of Hx. So this is FOGX plus FOHX. That's FOG plus FOH. So that's the sum level. So we have completed our sum number 11. So you have one more thing, children. I'll just give you one more sum. So I have just given you two sums. Yes, one is from solve. First question is solved example 1.29. I told you to try. Then I have told you to do sum number 10 from exercise 1.3, yes. And now one more sum, you are going to complete sum number 12. Now you are going to follow because everything is given to you, so you just can try the sums, yes children. So what you are going to do is, try out sum number 12 as homework. Just listen to me carefully, children. Yeah, so sum number 12 is your homework. So 3 sums for homework. And for sum number 12, you are going to refer page number 33. So come to page 33. Okay, page 33, you have a sum, the same type of sum. Here again a function is defined and you have to prove that it's a bijection, and also you have to find the inverse of it. So they have been given two methods, okay. So method 1 is there in page 33 and you have method 2 in page 34. So the method that's easy for you, you can use any one of the method and you can try out the answer. So just find out the answer and you have to give the answer. This is also based on the composition of functions. So we have done many sums on composition. So you have an idea. So just have a practice of the sum and you have to do it, okay. So sum number 12 will be a homework. You can refer example 1.30, okay. And any one step, don't follow both the steps, any one method. I feel the second method is easy. So if you use the second method, you will get the answer. It's very short answer, only 3-4 lines, you'll be able to get your answers. Okay, children? So complete your homeworks and submit your homeworks the day itself and present your answers neatly. Okay, so we stop over here and we'll continue our class. We just meet in the next class. We have not completed our, still we have more sums in the exercise 1.3, okay? So we'll just see in the next class.